Hey everyone. In today's video, we are going to implement a feature that's become quite a core part of modern UI design, dark light theme toggle built with React and Tailwind CSS. And more importantly, one that respects the user's system preference. Now, what do I mean by respecting the user system preference? So think about the apps you use daily, like YouTube, GitHub, Twitter, or even your browser itself. Have you noticed how some of them automatically switch to dark mode at night or match the mode you have set in your OS settings? Now, that's not magic. That's system-aware theming in action. And it makes a huge difference, in how seamless and personal an application feels. Instead of forcing the users to pick a theme every time, we let the device tell us what they prefer, applied by default. But of course, we'll also give users the freedom to switch manually because that's the entire point of providing this toggling feature on any screen in any application. And we will persist their choice. So, for example, even if the system is in dark mode and they choose to stay in light mode explicitly, we will remember that, and every time they visit the application, we'll showcase that particular screen in whatever mode they have selected. Now, before we proceed, what are the prerequisites for this video? If you know the basics of React, like what components are, how context API is used, what are props, then you'll be fine. And Tailwind CSS is quite easy to be honest. So if you're comfortable with basic CSS, then we are good. So without any further ado, let's start with the coding. Okay, so now the very first step is to create the application. Okay, set up the React app. So I'm going to use V. So npm, oh, caps is on, my bad. Npm create reach at latest, and it will prompt us to give the project name. So I'll just call it dark mode project. Okay, and we want to choose React as the framework and JavaScript as the variant. But if you are comfortable with TypeScript, then feel free to choose that. Now that this is created, we'll go inside this and install the dependencies. This might take a couple of seconds. So meanwhile, while this gets installed, let's go to tailwind.css because we want to incorporate that as well, right? So we'll go to the docs, and here if you see for different frameworks and different bundlers, we have all these different ways on how to install them. Since we are using Vite, I'll be following this particular section. And yeah, this is done as well. So, and we're already inside this dark mode project. So I'll just copy over this npm command. This will get Vite installed in here, and then we'll need to update the Vite config file. Okay, so Vite config and update the plugins. And one last step is to import Tailwind CSS here in the index.css file. So we can get rid of these other styles, we don't need them. And yeah, let's clean up our file. Actually, the only file which we need to delete right now, which I can see, is this app.css. We don't really need it. And in our app.jsx, we can remove all these templates. In fact, we can remove all of them. And I'll remove this. And just to make sure that, the Tailwind has been configured properly, what I'll do, I'll just write a div. Let me use this fragment here, and we'll call div inside. Okay, we'll give a hello world statement. And how Tailwind works is that we use class names instead of explicit styles. So say for example, I want a dark red background with white text, and text size will be 2xl. And if I save this and let me just do npm run dev, so this will start up the dev server. So if I go to localhost 5173, there you go. Hello world, it is coming, and with these Tailwind changes, the styles are also getting reflected, which means Tailwind CSS is now incorporated in our React project. Okay, so now that Tailwind is installed, let's create a couple of folders for components, and another one will be context. So we can have multiple. Oh, sorry, it created a file. My bad. I'll delete this. We need a folder. Fixed. Yeah. Okay, so we'll introduce the theme context.jsx. So there can be multiple context files. So we'll name this theme context, and let's import the different utilities that we need. So it will be create context, and then use context, and then use state, and use effect. So these are the ones that I can remember, and I don't think we need anything else, but yeah, let's go ahead. So now that we know that we have all these input statements here, we will start with creating the context. So the very first step when we are creating context is to create the context object. So we'll call that theme context. Okay, and we'll use create context over here. Great. And now that we have created theme context, we'll need to create its provider, because that's how we'll provide these values, the theme and the toggle theme state that we are maintaining in our context, to all the different child components that we'll have. So we'll go ahead there, not worry. So let's create the provider. So export function will be theme provider. Okay, and it will have a prop over here, and we'll understand what this children is, but yeah, for now I'll just move forward, and we'll create a state. So the state, it will hold as theme, and of course set theme, and we'll have use state over here, and we can just give this a string, empty string. That's fine. If you want to give something else like that, is also fine, it doesn't matter. So, okay, so now we'll have to use the use effect hook. So what does the use effect hook do? So it takes in a callback function over here, and then a dependency. So first we will we'll write the logic, persist the theme in our local storage. So what happens is, whether the user goes with the system preference or with the user selected theme, when we refresh the app or when we close it and then open it again, the application should remember what was the last set mode, and it should show that. So how do we do that? We store it in local storage. So local storage is like not something introduced in React, it's part of JavaScript only. So we'll be using this use effect hook to do that. Okay, so the dependency is theme. So what do I mean by dependency is that whenever the value of this theme changes, this callback function will get triggered. So I want to store in local storage dot set item, and this is kind of like a key value pair that we are having over here. So here it will be theme, and for theme I will be storing the theme state here over here. Okay, so whenever theme changes in our local storage, we have a key value pair. So the key name of the key is theme, and whatever the value of the theme will be, right, whether it is dark or light, it will get stored over here. So every time we can fetch this value to check what is the like user selected value. Okay, and we will also need one more use effect, because we're also going to look at the system preference, right? So this will be triggered during component, when the component mounts initially. Okay, so over here we'll have two variables. First we'll check the saved value, what is saved. So similarly, local storage dot get item, and we can pass in the key over here. It is not item, sorry, theme. Yeah, and now this is the saved value, right, like what user had particularly saved. And the other is system preference, which we have been talking about quite a while for now, right? And in order to like, how do we fetch this value? In order to do that, we'll call a window API. So window object, again, like these are JavaScript concepts, so not to worry, not something introduced as part of React. So we'll pass in the CSS media query. So the CSS media query to check like what is the system preference color scheme is this prefers color scheme. Make sure there are no spelling mistakes here, because this is like a very common place to make a mistake. Sometimes people in the schema or something else, and you keep on scratching your head like trying to figure out where you went wrong. So okay, this is it. So we are saying that if prefers color scheme is dark, then we'll call this matches. So this will return a boolean value, right? So if this is true, if system mode is dark, we will call this, like we'll set the value of the system preference as dark, otherwise it will be light. Okay, let me spell it correctly. Yeah, light. So we have these two variables. Now we'll simply call the set theme, and we'll pass in these two, and system preference. So what essentially will happen is, I'll just walk you through the flow. Initially, when we load this, we'll have this value as null, right? Because for the very first time, there will be no key value pair with key as theme. And then when we'll go to system preference, we will probably have some value over here, right? Like by default, it is light unless user selects this as dark. So prefers colored scheme. What is the OS system setting? So that would be dark. So for example, if I have selected my setting as dark, then system preference will be dark over here and we'll set the theme as dark. Otherwise it will be light. But if I manually change the, using the toggling feature that we have, if I change the value of this, then the theme will get changed, right? Because of this use effect, and this local storage will get updated, the saved value will get updated, and we can set the theme again here based on what is present. Okay. And there, oh yeah, one more thing that we have not yet implemented is the toggle theme method. Okay, so toggle theme. Okay, so it's going to be a function, right? So toggle theme, this is correct, and it's going to be quite simple. Like as the name suggests, it's a toggling feature, right? So what it means is based on the previous value, we'll set whatever is the opposite of that value. So if previous value was light, then I'm going to set it to dark. Otherwise, it's going to set it to light. Okay. So now we have toggle theme as well. And then at the very end, we'll just return some JSX. So remember that this is the provider, right? So what it will do is it will return the theme context.provider, and in the value will pass this object containing theme and toggle theme. That means all the elements, components which are wrapped within this provider, right? They will have access to these two values from the context. Okay. So, and what will pass in here will pass in a div, and here is the children. Okay. And we'll set the class name over here, and this is going to be dynamic. That is the state value, you guessed it correctly, because this is going to be either dark or light. So this is the like parent tag, right? So whatever children are present here inside these tag, all of them will be following this dark or light logic. And Tailwind CSS, like when we'll go ahead, we'll see how it is implemented, but based on this class name only, it can determine what styles it needs to set. Okay, so the context is almost done. Why I'm saying almost is, theme context is done, theme provider is done, but we can, improve it further by creating a custom hook. And it's actually quite simple. We'll just have this small function over here, export function. We'll call this use theme. Okay. So what it will allow us to do is instead of in different places where we want to access the context, instead of calling use context and theme context again and again, we just call this use theme. So we don't have to call these two separately. Okay. So yeah, this is done. Theme context is done. Let's go to app.jsx. Okay, and in app.jsx, what I shall do is I'll remove this dummy text which I had implemented. I was just testing whether Tailwind is working or not, and I'll paste in some additional code over here. So what does this do? This is actually the dark mode demo, like again some kind of dummy text only. So it will show us how the style changes when it is dark mode and when it is light mode. So again, like this is not a Tailwind CSS tutorial, but I'll quickly go through the styles so you're aware like what exactly are we doing over here. Okay, so how, as I think I've already repeated this, but yeah, as we have discussed this already, Tailwind CSS, what it does is instead of explicitly marking the CSS styles, we are using it in the class names itself. So here you have this class name attribute, right? So for example, this minimum at screen, what it says, the height, it should cover the minimum, the entire screen height is the minimum height that this element should have. Okay, and the by default background color is white unless it is dark. So if you see this colon, right, so if this dark is present, that means dark mode is ongoing right now, then we will not have this bg white, but we'll have this bg gray 900. Similarly, by default the text will be black, but unless it is a dark mode, then we'll have text white. And if you scroll to the right, we have the usual padding and flexbox and transition and all those. So we can come over here, and then this is again like increasing the text size, marking this as bold, and here as well this margin top rounded corners that we are doing. Here again we see, if you see, this dark mode is present, so it's saying by default it would be light gray, but if it is dark then it would be dark gray. And yeah, this is just some dummy text over here. So in fact I can actually save this, and if you see, it is showing the data over here. And but yeah, we still of course need to do a lot more work. So we'll need to wrap this inside the theme provider. So if you remember over here, we had this children, right? So I'll show you how we can use this. So theme provider. Some reason it's not importing. I don't know why. So come over here, import theme provider. Yeah. So this theme provider, what it will do is whatever children are present here, right? The children elements, the children components, those will be taken as prop, passed in over here, and then will pass in here. So what we are doing, we are wrapping all this with one parent div with theme, and of course we are now giving access to theme and toggle theme with the logic inside this, all the components inside this theme provider. So yeah, that's what we are doing over here. Now we are done with this card and all, but we still don't have the toggling feature, right? So how do we do that? So let's create a component. It's the folder is still empty over here. I'll select this and I'll call this theme switch.jsx. All right. So yeah, and I have some extensions installed, so I can just type in RFCE and it will, create this basic template for me. Okay, for now I need access to both theme and toggle theme from the theme context, right? So I'll just write this use theme. Remember the hook that we had created, custom hook. Yes. So I think it should allow me to take these toggle theme. Okay. So now I have these two values, theme and toggle theme from the use theme. Okay. Now we'll have to incorporate the toggling feature over here. This is the component and we'll call this component in the app.jsx. Now, how do we do that? So this toggling feature is again like, this is specific to app, how you want to implement it. What I have done is like, I have, I'll just paste these two photos here. So I'm planning to create like an icon kind of structure over here. So if I click on it, the icon will change, and of course the light and dark mode will also be applicable over here. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead with that logic over here. So I'll remove this, and inside I'll have one more div, and on click I want to call the toggle theme, right? This is a toggling button. So I'll click the toggle theme function, and we have already defined this in the theme context. So we need not do anything else. And I'll have the, as I said, right, icon is going to change. So if it is light, we'll have a different icon here. If it is dark, we'll have a different icon over here. So in order to implement that, what I'll do is I'll compare this light uh, theme. Okay, so if it is light, then we'll show something else. If it is dark, we'll show something else. So this fragment tag I'll place over here, and actually I can just create a self-closing image tag because I want to show icon, right? So source is let me write the alt format first. This is kind of a day mode, and yeah, let me import the day mode picture. So this is also quite simple, we'll just have to go to assets and demo.png, and I can actually copy over this and make this night mode. I believe that's the name. Yeah, night mode. I'll copy this night mode. Okay. So day mode over here, and let's give it a couple of last name styles. So width shall be 8, height, let's keep it auto, and I'll just do this. And since this is done, I can simply copy over this and paste it over here. Okay. And okay, I didn't give the correct operator name, so that's why it was giving error. So yeah, instead of day mode, it is going to be night mode. As simple as that. Night mode. If I save this, yeah, now this component is done. So if the current theme is light, we'll show this icon. If not, we'll show this icon. And on click of this, the toggle theme is toggled, and accordingly the theme also changes. Okay. So now I'll just need to call this over here, theme switch. And yeah, so this is present, but it kind of looks ugly, it's a bit jarring, present out of nowhere. Let's add a couple of styles over here. So we'll call this fixed, and we'll keep it in the top right corner. I think that would be a good place for that. Top 8, right 8, and let's keep it cursor pointer as well. So when I hover over it, it should turn into a pointer. Yeah, great. Okay, so this is working. Clearly it's changing, but yeah, I can see the rest of the screen is not changing. Let's investigate that. Okay, so let's check one more thing. So I know that the toggle theme is working, right? Because the theme state is changing and accordingly the icons are changing. But there's also one more way we can confirm this by coming over here. So if it is light, then day mode. Yeah. Okay. So this is also working. So see, if you see this is the day mode icon and this light. So what is this div exactly? So if you go to the theme context, right? This is that div. So if I change this, then the dark is changing here. So this is the dynamic state value that we are present over here, keeping it as class name. So this is that particular div. Okay, so we know that all this is working, right? So I think I know where is the issue. In the index.css, right? If you see, we have just imported Tailwind, but we need to do something else as well. So we'll call dark mode. Okay, so we search over here, dark mode. Yes, this is the one. System variant. We need to copy this, paste it over here, and along with that, one more thing we'll need to do is we'll need to remove strict mode. Okay, so if I remove this and save it over here, and I think the rest of the files are saved as well, so I can just go to app.jsx, save it. Yeah, come over here. Okay, there you go. It is night mode, and if you change, there you go. It is light mode now. So you might have remembered, like when we initially loaded this app, it was coming as dark. So if I refresh this, and even if I delete this, right, and if I still refresh this, it is coming in dark. Why? It is because I have set my color as dark, system preference, the OS system preference is dark. So I'll just show you one thing. I'll convert this to light. So it's light now. Great. My eyes are burning. And if I remove this, delete this, and if I refresh, then it's detecting this is light. Okay, and I'll again revert it back to dark. So yeah, this is so much better, isn't it? So I'll remove this and I'll refresh again. It's now coming as dark because initially it was detecting the user system preference, right? That's what we wanted. And if I change this and it's light, if I still refresh, it's coming. So we are able to handle the user system preference as well as the user's explicit preference. If they want to choose something else, they're free to do so. So yeah, this is working. And again, like based upon your utility, upon your requirements, you can of course make this a little bit more fancy, like some kind of a switch and add some animation or something. But again, like this is the basic functionality. The Tailwind CSS part of adding more styles or animation, it's up to you, and it differs from application to application. So yeah, I think we're good for now. And yeah, that's it. And I hope this was helpful for you. And if you have any doubts or have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. And of course, please do subscribe to the channel. This will keep on motivating me to come up with more such content. And all of the code will be available on GitHub. And I'll mention the link down below in the description. So yeah, you can also refer to it. And if you have any doubts, just let me know. And feel free to leave any comments or any criticism. Yeah, that's valid. And let me just my first video, so I'd be happy to improve upon it. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.